Today we're gonna go old school. We're not turning any electronics on. We're gonna go out and fun fish, and we're gonna use our common senses. We're gonna use the wind direction. We're gonna talk about the things that happened last night. We had a big storm come through. Without these electronics, how are we gonna catch fish today? I'll tell you what, we're gonna figure it out, so hang on to your hindies. Tell you what we're doing out here today is we're fishing old school, no electronics, which is kind of nice. And we're basically fishing right now some really shallow walleyes. Lance has been in here quite a bit. Basically, I love fishing walleyes in the weeds, you know. It's one of them kind of things where you got to kind of just work the pockets when you get into these real thick weeds. Lance has got a leech on, I got a crawler on, and just making real short casts, right? You just kind of lining up the weeds where you can pitch down a lane, you know, like there's lanes where the weeds are, or little pockets. Try to get that jig in there, work it as slow as you can work it, and try to get these fish to come out here. The issue that we probably have this morning is, again, we've had so much severe weather, and the amount of lightning that happened early this morning, about 2, 3, 4 in the morning, was incredible. And a lot of times on these shallow fish like that, it will spook them, that lightning, and they'll push out to deeper water. So it might take a little bit to get these fish to come back in here to get them to go, but it's a great way to fish. There we go. You know, I just switched the plastics because the water's so dirty, and that's a nice fish. It was cool because I seen him come right up out of the weeds right there. Really nice fish too. I'm gonna grab the old Kalen's net here. That, you know, kind of changing up when you think about that. The live bait is awesome, but you know something? It's always nice to get that when you got that dirty water, to be able to change your profile up. And that's why I threw that jerk minnow on there. And man, that was cool to see that fish come right up out of the weeds. Boy, he just crushed that plastic out to reset that. Where I come from, we don't use forks. We use scissors. Nice
First
job.
one on the crawler.
Whoop.
Shook him right off.
What were you doing on that one? Just
popping the night crawler, Larry.
Just popping the.
Yep.
Now, why'd you go from a leech to a crawler?
I've had better luck on the crawler. I mean, I had the leech on because you were fishing the crawler.
Yeah.
Also, so I wanted to split it up, but nothing passes up a night crawler.
Good one, Lance?
Yeah, decent.
Nice job. You know, it's kind of fun fishing. Oh, there's a nice fish. It's kind of fun fishing without electronics. That's a real nice fish right there.
That it is. Going old school today, Larry.
Old school with a new jig, the Pendu.
Nice one here, Larry. Where we're going today right now is we're pitching a lot of weeds.
Yep.
You know, I know where we got weed beds, not hitting a waypoint after we get them, kind of go right, hopefully go right back over the same area and get them, but just going back to the basics. Just a nice Kalen's jig, night crawler or leech, whatever you prefer.
Little plastic.
1/8 ounce. We had a heck of a storm system go through, so we kind of thought that the bite would be a little bit slow this morning, but we popped 3 decent ones already. So really all you have to worry about is bolt control. These fish aren't going anywhere. They sit right next to these weeds. Bait fish are swimming by. Typically the fish will be a little healthier in here because they're using very little energy to catch their bait.
I never thought about
Whereas out in the mud, they're chasing shad or what have you around, so they're constantly on the move. But they're just laying next to the weeds, grabbing their Scooby snack whenever they want, back to the weeds. You know, whenever they want to eat, they just tuck out behind the weeds, see our jig go by with a night crawler on it, punk, fish on.
You know, bolt control is crucial when you're working these weeds, especially like before when we were in the really thick pockets like that. You definitely need, if you got a lot of wind on you, you need to be able to slow that boat down, and by using your trolling motor, and a lot of times I'll put out a drift sock or 2 drift socks just to keep that speed down. I like to be at about a 1/2 mile an hour. It's about a perfect drifting speed through these weeds.
There we got one, Larry.
Got one going, Lance?
Yep, up and in.
Ooh, that's a nice fish right there.
Yep.
Again, on the leech, huh?
On the leech, yeah. You switched over to crawlers, and I'm trying to leech. Got plenty of sheephead too, but
That's okay. I don't mind.
eaters out of here.
I don't mind catching them.
A lot of the bait fish are holding in the weeds. Last year we caught fish in the weeds all year. And I would expect, we got a beautiful algae bloom out here, that we're gonna be popping fish like this through the rest of the year again.
What do you got going there? Did you see him jump already?
No, I seen them get close to the surface.
Yeah. That's the fun part about weed fishing. Pike, perch. Ooh, there you go. Nice smallmouth.
This is a good one for Bago.
Yeah, I never argue about catching smallmouth. Oh, you're like a bass master.
Well, let's
You're
not
like
go
a
that
Kevin
far,
Van
Smith.
Dam, huh?
Let's not
You're
go
like
that far.
You know, the big thing is that I caught that first one on some plastic and I kept it on for about another hour and couldn't get bit again, and Lance was casting live bait leeches. So now I went back to a crawler. Lance has got a leech on here. And again, diversity is everything. There's just some days where you can't beat one or the other. And right now, today is definitely plastic. But that lightning, no doubt, in my experience, no matter where I've been, has always affected these fish at least right away in the morning if you have lightning all night long. So we just switched gears here a little bit now, went to another spot, a little less weeds, a little bit more rock, and a little bit sharper of a break. Yeah, Lance, you never do know what you're gonna catch when you get into these weeds.
What farm animal we got now,
I
Larry?
got
Oh,
the
yeah.
old cataroni, the old channel cat.
A lot of these in the system, Larry.
There is. It's the future's looking pretty good, you know. I don't care as long as we're catching walleyes. Oh, I just missed one right there. What makes you start throwing a crankbait when you're working weeds? Let's talk about
we're
that.
just off the edge of the weeds here, Larry. You had them the weeds are pretty thick back there. That's pitching, obviously, but if I can cast a crank away from the edge of the weeds, that's when we throw them.
Just covering more water then, huh?
Covering more water, and a lot of the bait fish in here are this year's spawn, whether it's perch, bluegill, what have you, just looking like minnows. Tend to get about half the amount of sheephead when you're throwing artificial crankbait.
That's it right there.
How am I cranking? Like a wild man. Always pumping it when I'm cranking it, making her look like a wounded minnow. You know, if it's on a steady stream coming in, they're probably not going to attack it, but always just giving her a pump like that. Dad taught me that when we were straight line trolling. Always be pumping that minnow.
Pumping that.
No different than if you're trolling and you take hard S turns or what have you, making that minnow look different.
Right.
Out of speed, not just a straight line. There you go.
On the old jig and crawler. There we go. You know, it's kind of fun when you start thinking about it again, spending the whole day without really using electronics. Not everybody has the opportunity to have a forward-facing sonar, even though there's a lot more people out there than I ever thought would spend, you know, $4 grand, $5 grand, $8 grand, $10 grand on electronics. It's pretty wild to think about that, the amount of money, let you go, the amount of money that's been spent on electronics. But you know, what it does show you is the thirst for knowledge and the thirst really that how people want to catch more fish, you know. Basically this time of year I set up like a milk run, and I might have a dozen, 16 spots on that milk run. Stop at that spot, look with the electronics, forward facing sonar, side imaging, don't see any fish or not many fish, on to the next spot. I really think that people overlook, especially when it comes to Winnebago, shallow water. As long as they have the shade of these weeds, it's a little bit cooler in there, but the forage is there. It's all about the forage. Let's just say that I didn't know Winnebago and I was just coming here. What I would definitely do is start looking at maps and looking in the shallow areas in the bays, right? Weeds are always going to start shallow, and as the summer progresses and you get the heat, they're going to move, they're going to advance in height, and they're also going to advance in the depths of the water, right? So this time of year, things are a little bit behind because we've had so much water this year and not a lot of heat. We're just finally getting into the heat now, and that'll really ignite these weeds. And the water's been dirty, again, because we've had so much runoff, and not being able to have that light penetration really slows the growth of the weeds down. But if I was just to come to a lake like this, I would definitely start in the bays and start working my way out. Try to get to the edge of the weeds. Wherever you can find the deepest weeds is typically where the fish are going to be. Boy, they are just piled up. You know what? It's a little bit later too in the morning here now, and these fish are definitely biting a little bit. They're starting to recoup from all that lightning that we had earlier. Right here we're on about 7 foot, a little bit deeper than we've been working earlier, but in like super deep weeds on this system are probably about 10, 11 foot. That's about as deep as you typically can find them. A lot of, 5 to 6.
That's what we're looking for.
Ooh,
there.
There we go, Lance. Again, loving them weeds. Nice fish right there. That's a nice fish.
That'll work.
That's nice fish. Hey, Lance, what an awesome time. I appreciate that, buddy. You know what? If you guys want to learn more how to fish shallow weeds without using any electronics, definitely give Lightning Lance a call. Let's tell them how they can do it, Lance.
Give me a shout at 920-410-9920 and we'll get you out fishing.
I got one more thing for you guys. Here is the debate. Bottled, sundrop, or
Canned glass bottle is what you need. That's
glass bottle all the way, man,
Yes.
for sure. Tell us what you guys think. Hey, you guys, appreciate you guys joining us today. And make sure you guys, if you get a chance, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We really appreciate that. It's a great day to be alive.